Hello, strangers. It's been a while. Let's see if we have any more. Let's see if we have better luck with the Apex servers. Maybe. Right. Now hopefully in a few hours the FGO servers will be fixed. Perhaps they will resuscitate the little hamster running on his little wheel that keeps the servers going. And we can do our little, we can finish our little beginner rolls. So, to expand on the reason I brought Salter up, besides her being a fairly popular character, of course, is as a tip for how to have a better shot at her on story banner, is also because if you're like me and you really didn't like 3-star sabers not named Bedivere, then it's get lucky and get a gold saber or bust. Okay. Pistol, heavy mag, photograph. Ah, bugger. Just bugger. What's with the energy ammo? Hopefully there'll be something good in here. Alternator. Gold. Okay. Just want to look for a shotgun to I'm shocked we're in a little urban area and there aren't any enemies running around like headless chickens. Charge rifle. I have to grab flatline. Wait, I was already here. So, this is why you don't do drugs, kids. I don't even do drugs and I'm like this. Imagine if I did. My teammates. Boy. Get up there. Where's that?
残り1分。リングは遠くない。残り45秒。リングは遠くない。援護お願い。クラフト終了。確定しました。
気をつけろ。新たなキルリーダーだ。
残り30秒。リングは近い。クラフト終了。ちょっと待って。
クラフトする。長くはかからない。
残り10秒。リングが近くてよかった。始まった。リングが動いてる。スモーク放出。
Oh no, the smart. Semi did not even pay attention to the fact we have a Bangalore.
ヘルメットを発見。レベル3だ。ヘッドショットに気をつけて。
Shotgun shells. Normally I'd grab that, but
聞いて。ケアパッケージが来る。
they're trying to make it difficult for me, aren't you? Spitfire. Think. I think I need some heavy ammo. So confused. What are we doing? Our ending all ours.
あっちに標的だ。スモーク注意。
私に眼力を恵みたまえ。
いぶしてあげる。操作開始。ガンガン撃つわよ。伏せて。空爆。
周囲環境をマーク中。主審が眼力を与えた。
Fall down, but
誰かがここを通ったようだ。
Unfortunate.
みんなよくやった。これ以上ない活躍ね。
こ
Switching it on default to hide banner. Just out of pure laziness, say. Wait, when did I do damage? I don't remember doing damage to anything with my team's morale. Actually finally had a vault too, didn't even get to really use it. Shame. Darn shame.
私が勝利へと導く。俺がジャンプマスターだ。当然。
ここは絶対に狙い目ね。女の勘ってやつよ。報酬を狙って。
Wait, how on earth are we gonna get over there? We're gonna hit those mountains, aren't we? Yep, there. Alright. Well, that was surprising.
Scan 中。
Okay. 80-13.
スナイパーストックを発見。レベル3だ。
Rockstar. Backpack.
ラウンド1、リングのカウントダウンが始動。
次のリングまで距離がある。たくさんのアイテムと出会えるって
ファースト
ことで。
キル発生。
ファーストキル、ゲームの始まりだ。拡張ライトマガジンを発見。レベル2だ。
What's with the 30-30s? Come on, bro.
こっちに何かいいものがありそう。ショッピングでもしましょう。
早く行くぜ。周囲環境を
I get over here in time to craft anything before the thing will break. Sounds good to know.
キルリーダーね。早く会いたいわ。
Peacekeeper. Let's go and grab those. Maybe don't need that.
残り1分でリングは遠い熱いシチュエーションだ。
Okay. Okay.
リングは遠い。
Need more heavy ammo. Suppose. Suppose. You take those. What a nonsense. Dire need of a better heavy gun. Alright, we're still all the way away from the bubble.
こっちよ。
リング閉鎖中。
全員がリングの外よ。死の壁が迫ってくるわ。
これじゃ足りねえ。まだまだ上げるぞ。
Okay, we're doing alright armor wise. Any bad. Okay, an arc star. Yes.
早く行く
報
ぜ。
告。ケアパッケージを輸送中です。
ケアパッケージ降下。
This looks vaguely familiar.
ジャンプドライブを設置。あっちに閉じたドアがあるわ。
新しいキルリーダーが確定しました。
新しいキルリーダーに気をつけろ。
Oh, shutter caps. I would grab that. Just in case I don't find a heavy weapon I like more. Which is Spitfire Flatline.
Champion, 撃破。
報告。次のチャンピオンはこの俺様です。 位置について用意ドン。
Okay. All these in-laws.
撃たれてる。
There
当
we
選
go.
中。何よもう痛い。標的を発見。
Spitfire.
ジャンプパッドを投げる。
こっちに敵がいる。
周囲環境をマーク中。
Wait,
さあ起き上がってくれ。ほらほらほら。
hostile detected where?
待って、回復が必要よ。
我が名はブロスフーンダル。
シールドリチャージ中。
エリアをスキャン中。
Where are they?
待って、回復が必要よ。
エリアをスキャン中。 周囲環境をマーク中。
リロード。 攻撃中。リロード中。敵を倒した。レプリケーター設置中。リロード中よ。敵排除。
シールドを取り付けだ。来い来い来い来い。
攻撃されてる。リロード中よ。ダウンさせられたわ。敵を発見したわ。
エリアをスキャン中。
気をつけて、こっちに敵がいる。
共倒れしなくてよかったぜ。何いいってことよ。お前のためさ。
何よもう痛い。
Well, that didn't go well. I could see that Pearson that I kept scanning. Shame. Like they have a lot of octanes today, or in general, really.
私たちの行く先にシートベルトは必要ない。
I'm gonna run Wraith
正しい。
this round, because I seem to recall there was a quest where I needed to play a certain amount of games with her. That I didn't quite finish last time.
今回のチャンピオンを紹介します。
We shall see.
今回は私がジャンプマスターよ。私がジャンプマスターだ。続け。
まるで屠殺場に送られる牛の群れだな。
今回は私がジャンプマスターよ。
Yeah, Cherokee.
降下する。こらえて。
does.
報告ファーストキル発生
It just have something but nothing. Or that's hemlock, but suppose it's having nothing. It's a hemlock bargain sale. It's an upstairs here, isn't it? It is indeed.
報告新しいキル
It
リーダーが
is,
生まれま
of
した
course.
警戒よ。新しいキルリーダーよ。
How am I doing this? Did they leave it in the noise? Oh, bugger. Wingman. Yeah, nice. So tempted to grab that. Alright, there we go. I don't know if that's a good scope, but it's a scope. Just need me a nice shotgun. Preferably not a Mozambique. Wingman. Oh, hemlock. Where's the ring? We're in the ring. Where are we going? Spitfire. You take those.
ケアパッケージ輸送中
よ、あのケアパッケージはゲットしとこうぜ。
Crazy over there. Two more. Iron spinning. There we go.
危険よ、離れて。撃たれてる。攻撃中。
リロード中だ。
敵を一人排除。タルビット。
こっちだ。
ちょっと待て。回復中だ。
半分が消えた。
シールドをチャージしてる。
もう起き上がることはないな。
待て。回復中だ。撃たれてる。
手当てする。
シールドをリチャージする。
グレネード敵の視界に入ってるアークス攻撃を食らったわ
グレネードだ。
少し待って大丈夫
これで全員だ。みんなよくやった。リロード中だ。
待て回復中だ
R301 も発見。
Did we get
シー
him?
ルドをチャージしてる待て回復中だ回復中でも警戒はしてるシールドをリチャージ中
I don't think we got him. I don't know how. But...
ラウンド2リングのカウントダウンが始動。
レシールドをリチャージする
レプリケータ
待
ーを輸送
て
中。
回復中だレプリケーター接近中こっちはバルキリー発進の準備はできてるバルキリー発進
We should have waited for that first.
装置は右へとなっていますスモークのご利用もご遠慮ください
EVA ショットガンを発見。シールドバッテリーを発見。
ちょっと待て回復中だミサイルを放つ
6 points left.
残り10秒リングは近い
To get to the top of this building. Preferably without dying.
閉鎖が始まっています。
おいリングが閉じるのにみんな外にいる
チャンピオンは判断を誤った。
ケアパッケージ輸送中。
よあのケアパッケージはゲットしとこうぜ。
残された部隊は2つだけ。
緊急脱出を開始。
入ってないやつがいる。シールドをチャージ。
This might not be the best idea to
ちょっと待て。
do that in the middle of a field.
こっちに悪い奴らがいる。ダウンした。
撃たれてる。敵を発見。アークスター行くぞ。
Unfortunate. Wonder if FGO's back. Wait, what? Yeah, that happens so quickly. We can now successfully unlock a new character. Alright. Sure. I imagine it looks better than whatever monstrosity I had before. So, I think I decided this one maybe. Yeah. There we go. Pick. Seem to be getting random stuff for. How did I get that? Wait, how's that any different? I'm not this crazy, am I? How's it any different? Oh, it just takes the blue off. That's fine. It completely doesn't matter. It's not like I can see it, but I don't know. Maybe that'll blend in better with the environment. So let me check FGO right quick and see if it's working. If it is, we might do a little bait and switcheroonie and make this a two-part stream, so to speak, where we switch to FGO. Yeah, and it might. Oh, bugger. I said we would. How to go about it. Alright, here's the moment of truth. Alright, good news. We're back in the bloody NA server. A global server, whatever you want to call it. So, several in there to two players. Alright. So we'll get back to Apex some other time. We're going to switch off to back to FGO now, so if you will give me just a moment. There we go. I think that should be showing on stream properly now. And welcome back to FGO. Where were we? Oh, right, we were about to... Okay, as you can see, I actually have I actually friended myself now. It's the only way I make friends. Imaginary ones. Let's go ahead and pick up all these new goodies. Alright. So. The question is, roll on this or story summon. Oh, that's not story summon, that's King Hassan banner. Oh. Medusa Lily. She's a cutie pie. So this is the story banner. Well, first off, I don't know why I exited out just to come back in. You'll have to forgive me. My brain doesn't work like it used to. If it ever worked. First order of business is friend point summons. There's old Spotty, unfortunately. Okay, there we go. Ah. So this is lovely that we got both Leo and George. So the thing with Heracles is... Oh, we got Paris. The thing with Heracles is... The bugger's so strong, he can basically solo most of the story. If he has his Bond CE. So it's really nice to have Leonidas and St. George. However, I don't know if I should level Paris or not. Well, first off, we'll do this. Well, somehow we're getting command codes, despite the fact they usually avoid me like the plague. It's kind of funny. We completed a weekly mission. So, Saint Quartz fragments. 7 of them becomes 1 Saint Quartz. So you get enough fragments to get 3 Saint Courts per week from completing the 7 weekly missions. Stereos really loves us for whatever reason. I should actually probably be saving more in the QP than just randomly upgrading MPs. So this is all we have to work with for now. We're definitely leveling David. Oh right, I didn't explain why David was so good. Alright, I'll do that in a moment. I'll probably use the Spatial Ascension on Heracles, but I would rather wait and do our finish our beginning roles first. But I'm torn. I'm torn between rolling on one of the banners that's up, or finishing Fuyuki, and then rolling on story. First shot at Saber Altar. Okay, we have go ahead and get some bond with David. I suppose it wouldn't hurt to add Paris. They can't afford the Tamakat yet. But we definitely need to keep this bad boy in the party. So David. Why is David so good? Well, for one, he has a charisma, which is a nice AoE attack boost for your entire team for 3 turns. At max rank it's a 5-turn cooldown, so most of the time you'll have the attack buff from it. But this is this little beauty, Harp of Healing. It's a smallish heal for your entire team, but it gives your entire team, okay, your entire front line, whoever's on the field with him, a one-hit evade, which might not sound like much, but when the enemy has an AoE EMP, you just saved your entire team and wasted your enemy's turn pretty much. It's very good. Now damage wise, he actually has quite high attack for a 3-star archer. I think he has the highest attack for a 3-star archer actually. So now his deck is actually caster deck pretty much with triple arts. But that just, sorry, he helps get MP really quickly because you can do lots of arch chains. And his MP right now doesn't do the greatest damage, but he does get an MP buff in the future that adds some niche damage against super giant enemies, because that seems fairly obvious for something that fits with David. But it also has a good chance of applying Skill Seal to an enemy, which is very handy to lock off some nasty skills certain enemies or bosses have. So yeah, he gives you a good attack up, good defense, some heals. He can be fairly tanky. He can skill seal an enemy, which is for a turn, which is very, very good. Just a very, very solid unit. Skip the story, of course. See, this is charisma as well. This is, I think it's equal to David's. Actually, I think they're both charisma B. Can't really check. Oh, here, skills. These are master skills. Depending on what little outfit your character's wearing, they will have a certain amount of skills. So this is called your Mystic card. Now the default is actually really good. It's got a really nice heal. It's got a really good attack up. And a really good one-turn evade. Now, if you'll notice, the cooldowns are absurd. So, but that's because these are your oh no button. This is when things start going south. That's where you get your help out of those. They're not really. They'd be pretty broken if you could spam them. Let's go ahead and use my battery. Get battle speed back to. I don't know why it sets it back. We'll just do this. See, that is. So, skill levels. Right now, if I use her skill, notice it gave 10% charge. If you max out this all the way up to rank 10, it would have been 20% charge. So she'd have her MP right now. And that 9-turn cooldown would be 7. So, as you're leveling skills, when you rank them up to 6 and to 10, they get 1 turn off the cooldown each. So, that's important to keep in mind. Of course, just starting out, you're probably not going to be able to level many. Leveling skills takes a bit. It's not something you can just do willy-nilly to start with. Got our first master level. So as you can see, our max AP, which is what we have to pay to actually do each fight, rises. Max cost. This is basically party composition availability. The type of units we can have. The higher rarity units of craft essences, the higher they cost. So right now, you mostly can just make a team full of lower levels because the 4 and 5 star units cost so much. And of course, friends list goes up. But here's an important thing: all your AP is restored when you get to level up. Now, very early on, what this means is you just went back to maximum. Sorry, you could have been 2 from maximum and it restored 2 for you. But now it overflows for you. So say we were at 20 and now we go up to 21. That adds 21 to our current total. So instead of adding 1, it adds 21. If that makes sense. I'll show you after we get out of this cutscene. If it loads. Oh, we didn't get a cutscene. So as you can see, our AP is 39 out of 21, so we've overflowed quite a bit. This is really nice. When you first start out, you're going to overflow a lot as you go through. Especially if you're you're in an event that has lower AP cost. So you're going to generally, you can play through the story and just consistently gain AP at how quickly you rank up your master rank. So you could play through indefinitely almost, to an extent, through most of the part 1 of the story. But there's no real need to rush when you're starting out. You need to, you know, breathe a little and enjoy the gameplay, figure it out, tinker around, figure out which characters you like. So, friend points. It occurs to me I didn't explain those very well. So for the paid summons, so to speak, is your premium summons come from Saint Courts and summon tickets. And 1 summon ticket is equivalent to 3 Saint Courts. I mentioned that earlier, but I'll just go ahead and remind you now. So, Saint Courts you can either buy it or you get quite a bit of it just for playing the game, just doing daily logins and stuff, which is very lovely. But friend summon takes friend points, and this is your free summon. As I mentioned earlier, you get 1 free 10 roll for it per day, but to acquire friend points, as you might suspect from the name, you get it from using friend supports, or your friends using your supports, or certain fights will have story supports that you can pick. Unfortunately, sometimes they're mandatory, but most of the time you can choose them or just a friend support. The story ones, though, will give you 200 FP each time, which is so basically each fight you do with them, there's a role you can do. Now Ishtar is a very popular unit, and she's one of the really good ARE MP units that has a 50% bar tree. So I could use her Noble Phantasm right now if I wanted. However, we're going to wait till next turn. So, a little tip about using it. This Monoburst gem. So after 1 turn it increases her attack. So 1 turn delay. So you use it, and then next turn it's going to juice up her attack a great deal. So you need to plan ahead a bit when you're going to use this. You want to use it right before you want to pop off with it. So since I'm planning on using her Noble Phantasm next turn, we activate it now. And as for this, this is another Charisma, but this is actually an advanced Charisma, because it also gives a critical strength boost. Now we don't really have a party composition to take advantage of crit stars really, or rather to generate them very well, but it's there if we wanted it. Notice that chest that dropped. That's how you get materials and the like. So as you can see, that silver chest from a scaly will often be, not always, because sometimes it can be QP or skill gems for certain classes. So there's an evil bone. Get used to that, because you're going to be seeing these kind of fights a great deal to farm for those buggers, because units that need them take a great deal of them, unfortunately. So as you can see, we used her battery to juice up her MP gauge, and now we can just blow her up the wave. This is completely overkill, by the way. These enemies would go down from one hit, of course. But might as well show you a bit of the stuff you can do with the units. See, a second chest was dropped that I didn't notice. That one had a QP. Now, early on, you'll think, oh, we're QP. Like, look how much I got. That's, you just used it willy-nilly. But I assure you, you can never have enough QP. When you start, you'll be alright leveling your 3-star unit. Well, honestly, even with your 3-star units, if you level too many of those too quickly and scale them up too quickly, you're going to start running dry of QP funds. But go ahead and complete this. There's some more samples. That's not what I want. What is this? Fire. Okay, grab that, I guess. Ah, the rescue gun. Cost 3. So I can grab. Nah, there's no real need to. I feel like I got sidetracked with something I was going to say. So, scaling up your units costs an exceedingly amount of QP, especially gold units. You could have the cap, which is 999 million, instead a bunch of 9s after this. You get the idea. And level a couple gold units and you've got it in like half already. Then if you start grayling units, oh dear. So I guess they didn't explain that. I'll do it on the experience page after this. So this is a rescue girl. I adore a rescue girl. She's a Lancer, she's airy like Ishtar is. As typical Lancer deck, 2 quicks, arts, 1 arts, and double buster. She is very strong. She has a 50% battery that's on her buster app. She makes your entire team quite tanky because she increases defense, she increases MP gain, and your max HP. So increasing max HP sort of works as a heal as well and makes your unit tankier. So we'll go ahead and show you what that looks like. Notice, so everyone's health increased by 3,000. So that means if he was damaged by 3, say Hercules was damaged by 3,000, well, that would have took him up to full health even after it wears off. So it's sort of like a heal, effectively. This is a handy little ability that gives her a turn of invincibility. Now, this Blessing of Kur, which is a really nice buff for all your party members, actually provides a bonus effect to her MP. So her MP on its own will increase her Buster card effectiveness before attacking with the MP. But if everyone that's affected by her 3rd skill will also get a fairly large attack increase as well. And since she has a 50% battery and gives a very high NP gain up for 3 turns for your entire team, it's pretty feasible to get her NP back pretty quickly, which would provide another 3-turn attack up. So she's a lot of fun, she's very survivable. Like, her damage on paper might not seem the best, but with survivable units like her or Kukulayan, that's perfectly fine, because the longer you survive, the more damage you have a chance of doing, so it's going to add up very quickly. So we'll go ahead and share all 3 MP now. Also, her crits hit really hard. She can actually solo really well. So normally solo units, you would think you would want to single target NP, because it's you're typically soloing like boss fights and the like. But units like her, Canis, which will be coming eventually, DNA. Funnily enough, they're both Lancers. Despite being AoE, can do a lot of crit damage, which is single target, of course, so they're good in both situations. Okay, so we'll go to the enhanced stream. Max levels. So depending on the servant's rarity, will determine how high their level cap is, their base level cap. So, for example, right now you can get Asterios, who's a 1-star to 20. Now, what happens is, when you ascend them, those are these little stars under the level, that adds 10 to the level cap. So, as you can see, you can send any unit 4 times. So max level for 1-star units is level 60. What about 2-star units? 65 is what they can go to. So 3-star would be 70, 4-star would be 80, and then, as one might expect, your 5-star units is level 90. Now, if you paid attention, you noticed my FGO was level 100. That's because she's been grailed. So, if you give a Holy Grail to a unit, it will increase the level cap past its natural cap. Now, early on, it's 5 levels apiece, but once you hit level 90, each grail past that only gives 2 bonus levels. So when she was level 90 and I gave her 1 grail, then her level cap went up to 92. So it takes 5 Holy Grails to get them from level 90 to 100. I really need to max that out to 100. That's bugging me. It's only a small increase because it goes from this to 2000 attack, but it still bugs me. Likewise, you can see that Summer Jolter and Summer Mordred, despite being 4-star units, are level 90 instead of 80 because I've thrown a couple grails at them. And Astraea is a 4-star unit, but also level 100 because I threw 7 grails at her. Also threw a couple at Nagao here. Alright, I never did get to leveling Umu's skills. Oops. Should probably do that one of these years. So yeah, units you really like, you can really juice up by giving them extra levels. And in fact, often 3-star units scale really well with Grails. If we can actually get some that's worth a darn. I'll attempt to point them out. Well, I already mentioned Kuka Lane, regular Ku, not a Proto Ku or a Costa Ku. Yeah, both of those units are good as well, don't get me wrong. But like regular Ku becomes pretty insane with Grails. Then Asako or Hassan of 100 Faces, or 100 Personas, whatever they call her in NA, it's weird. She scales, she's an assassin that scales really well with Grails. In fact, I'll probably grail her on here actually, because I've been wanting to on one of my alts, but again the alts keep getting lost. So hopefully that doesn't happen to this one while we're streaming it. Guess we're right back. Or I should actually be looking out for other promising people to follow that has stuff that I don't. For example, Squatty. Let's see what this person has. Alright, she looks rather familiar. This little loss here. Kaleidoscope. I'll never acquire one of those. It's normal Okita. I'd like to get her, but it's a shame, but it's just it's not to be as of yet. Oh, hey Spinal. Sorry I didn't see your comment there. What? That's a lot. What were you referring to? 3 minutes ago. What was I showing 3 minutes ago? Oh. Yeah, didn't get the mana burst. B4 pounds. You have me terribly confused at the moment. I haven't the foggiest what points you're referring to. Let's see, was it the Grails? Was it when I was talking about Grails? Or QP? Oh, that was longer than 3 minutes ago, wasn't it? Sorry. Guess we're both confused then. Oh, the QP, okay, yeah. Yeah, if you go hard in a lottery event, you've got a decent shot at reaching the cap for QP, and you'll burn through it pretty quickly once you actually get to rolling and leveling your skills.
ヴィンチちゃんの今日から吠え。
Hmm.
今日ものんびり始めよっか。
Right, we're holding off on the spatial ascension until I actually roll. I'll tell you what, Spinal, since somebody's actually watching for once. We'll see what you think here. Would you rather see me roll on this banner? Maybe get this little last here, Leonardo da Vinci Lily. Or maybe even this banner, get King Hassan himself. No, full disclosure, this getting a 5 stars not a very likely thing to occur. It's a 1%, so keep that in mind. Or story banner. Story banner after completing the singularity to add a saber altar to the mix for a chance at a nice saber. Okay. So we could go ahead and roll for this. I'll tell you what, I'll send you a picture of Saber Altar on Discord right quick. There you go. Speaking of Discord, I really dislike this little update they've made where you have to double click to upload an image or whatever. It's like, but why? It was a single click before. It's just a minor thing, but it's irksome just because what's the point of changing something like that? So the odds of getting her would be better than getting him, probably. Well, I don't know, because she's not like she'd be rated R. She'd just be in the vast pool of non-limited servants that aren't story locked. Da Vinci Lily is a very good AoE arts rider. Mentioned earlier that is not what I wanted to click on. Well, so 4-star servants, your chance of getting one of those is, unless I'm mistaken, is 3%. So it's triple what a 5-star would be. But again, since she isn't rated up, where's so yeah, it's definitely not something to count on with this little Saint Quartz. But with Da Vinci Rider, I was mentioning how since on my main I have Summer Mordred here, who's also an AoE Arts Rider, who actually loops even better. Like, her MP gain is insane. That I have no desire to try for on my main. Of course, I don't have access to it. Well, I do, but from friends list, but it's nice to have certain things on your own. So yeah, this first singularity. So that's what happens if you click the image too bloody much. suppose I didn't really go over Artoria very well. I'll do that since we're using it here. But yeah, these first few story chapters, unfortunately, you will mostly be fighting mobs, the same mobs over and over, or the same type of mobs. So, but it's a good chance to. They're easy fights, so like you can actually do it at level 1. Even though they force you to level 1/7 to 12 unless you get a crit on it. So, Artoria, please ignore the dreadful localized name they gave her. It is completism. She's Artoria. The voice actors and actresses actually call her Artoria. It makes more sense because the base root of the work, because it's obviously based off of Arthur, which comes from Artorius, and it just Altria, bloody hell, just shoot me. Sorry, we'll use the. She's fairly by the book, AoE, Buster Saver. She's got a nice charisma. She has a 30% battery at level 10. That also provides you with fitting crit stars. So that's nice. She has a 1-turn mana burst. Now, these are actually after upgrades. She used to not have a battery. So that was the suck. And she also has an upgraded MP. So they've buffed her quite a bit. She's still got another one on the way. Japan already has it, of course, but we're 2 years behind in global. So, and the funny thing is, this next buff is kind of it can sometimes actually hurt her a bit, depending on how you're wanting to go. Because what it does is, it converts, for 1 turn, it converts all of her face cards, so these little buggers, right here, into Buster. Now, normally you think, oh, that's great, easy Buster Brave Chain with her. However, Artoria, MP, will restore some of your MP gauge after using it. So if she's overcharged, it's by more, but by base it's like 25%. So she gets a head start. And she also has pretty decent MP gain on her arts cards. So one thing you can do is use her MP and then arts, and have a shot at getting her MP all the way back, especially if you crit, or if you crit, rather. So you get back-to-back MPs off of her. But if you use the Buster, the Mana Burst, now those arts cards are Buster cards, so you don't get the charge. So it can sometimes hurt you a bit. The way to fix it is to make it optional, to where you click, do you want to convert your cards or not, would be an easy fix for it, but whether they would actually implement that fix, I don't know. Science point unlikely. But yeah, she's a fairly simple unit, easy to pick up. Which, considering she's the face of the franchise, that's very nice. I prefer Mordred though, so just gonna throw that out there. Oh no, we might actually not 2-turn this. The horror. I'll tell you what, we'll juice up Marsh's attack a bit, because he should easily rip through anything. It's her that I'm worried about. Ah, bugger. Oh well. Despair. Let's see. Just fun brave chain. So in situations like this where you got BQA, generally I think the highest damage combo you can do that is, well, BQA. Because your quick does your least amount of damage, and arts does the most out of those two. So putting it last. Or so the way it works is, again, the first card in order provides a buff to the rest of the cards in the lineup. But the later you get in the line, the bigger a buff they get. So basically the arts card was juiced up with more attack than the quick card was. That's what I'm attempting to get at there. But well, that probably has to do with quick count or hit counts and the like, about how you would want to set it up to get the most out of it if you were trying to min-max it out. Oh, looky there, a rider enemy. Shiki was the first welfare servant I ever got. I got really lucky that I started right before Hair lost rerun. Did it? Let me see. It says it's been fine. OBS doesn't say any dropped frames. The stream health says excellent and whatever. Is everything alright now? Okay. So this is our first fight against a servant type enemy. Sort of. Because those had said fatal battle. That's typically for boss fights and the like, or servant fights in general. Can't imagine who this is. So this is a shadow servant. They are a bit different than regular servants in that they don't get the noble phantasm. So when their charge gets full, the charge being a little bar under their health, they typically get one tick a turn, but some have self-charge abilities that will increase that, or will add extras per turn, or sometimes bosses have passives that make them get more than one per turn. So something to watch out for as you play through the game. What did I do that for without even checking? One of my cards were, I just clicked it on like impulse. But instead of noble phantasms, shadow servants instead get their extra attack. It's the same with regular mobs as well. They don't have noble phantasms. So they're basically glorified regular mobs that mimic the servant's abilities. but not their noble phantasms. So they use an extra attack, which will hit really hard, don't get me wrong, but noble phantasms are scary. So this Shiki is actually the only welfare servant, real welfare servant, because Artoria Lily got an MP buff as well, but she's sort of a prototype for the welfares, really. She's a bit wonky. So Shiki's actually the only welfare, as far as unless I'm forgetting someone, that's gotten a buff, and she got Noble Phantasm buff, which is funny because she was already one of the best welfares in the game, one of the best 4-stars in the game. Honestly, she's really good. But now she's even better. So her fair skill gives her ignore invincibility, which is choice. Gives a nice arts card up, and decreases instant death resistance for the enemy, which I imagine you can figure out what that means. She has an evade, that's always good, and she has a 30% battery. That will decrease her health by 1,000, which is typically a worthy trade-off. I'll let you see that in action. So now most of the time when they have that kind of demerit or decreased HP demerit, they will have the caveat of, oh, they can't kill themselves from this. She doesn't seem to have that though, so yeah. But generally, if you're going to use it, you're going to use it early on anyway, so before she's then critical. Her Noble Phantasm ignores defense, which is very handy, because you will come across bosses that are bad to juice up their defense, and has a chance to increase instant death. Has a chance to inflict instant death, and it also lowers the defense by 3 turns. Now she actually does damage before doing her instant death, which is good because she gets refund. That's what you want for an arts servant that has instant death on their Noble Phantasm. You want them to do the damage first, so you can get the MP refund from it being an arts card. Unfortunately, there's a few that will proc the instant death first, which is the big sad. But what can you do? I believe we've lost Spinal. You still alive, mate? So these rider pieces are what you need. Okay. Is the stream working alright? So what we got from there, those little silver pieces, are ascension materials. And as one might expect, you use it for ascending your servant to the next tier up. Okay, good to know. Wild Beast, neutral. I don't know if we'll be coming across those at all. So, go to Ascension. Do we have a rider? Yeah. So as you can see, a 2-star rider requires 3 of these little buggers to be ascended 1 time. And of course, this is a 2-star rider. The numbers are only going to rise. The required materials are going to rise depending on the rarity of the server. Now, there are two variants of those ascension items. Silver pieces and gold monuments. So pieces will get you through your first 2 ascensions, but the last 2 will need monuments. And early on, pieces, as long as you try to stick to leveling 1 or 2 of each class, you're generally going to be okay on pieces, but you're going to struggle with monuments because you don't really start getting those until a little bit later, until you get a little deeper into the story. Now, hopefully events will be ongoing that you can play through as well. I definitely recommend to always do your best at doing some events because you can get lots of good materials and such from those, and possibly even a welfare servant depending on the event. But early on, you're going to be semi-okay with pieces and struggle with monuments. However, after you've been playing a while, all of a sudden you're going to be really good, doing really well with monuments, and crying when it comes to pieces. It's kind of funny how that works. It's actually going to end up like that for you for each gold material when it comes to ascension or skills. Like because generally the rarer materials, servants will need a lot less of them. Whereas for like evil bones, a servant might need 60 of the bloody things for 1 skill. But yet the drop rate isn't going to be any better for you all that much than a gold item that they might need 5 of. So yeah, it's a struggle, but we get through it somehow. Okay, another Shadow Servant. Now, this one's a bit of a bugaboo because assassins, as you can see, class affinity. Oh, I guess I should go over this. So here's your class affinity triangles. So you've got your knight classes, your archer, your saber, your lancer. Lancer is strong against archer. Archer is weak against lancer. So lancer will do double damage to archer and take half damage from it. However, archer will do double damage to saber and take half damage, and then saber will do double damage to lancer but take half damage in return. So if you played Fire Emblem or something like that, you remember your weapon class triangles, it's similar to that. Then your cavalry classes, so rider beats caster, caster beats assassin, and assassin beats rider. And then Berserker is technically a cavalry class, but he's kind of unique in that he does 50% bonus damage to all of these, as well as these, but takes double damage from everything as well. And then you've got Foreigner, which resists Berserker and does double damage to them. And then Foreigner is weak to other Foreigners and Alter Egos. But Alter Ego also do 50% bonus damage against Cavalry classes, but only do half damage against Knight classes. And then here in your extra triangle, you've got your Ruler, who take half damage from all of these bad boys, but are weak against Avengers, which do double damage to them and take half damage from them. And then Mooncancers, which is mostly just BB. BB and now Summer Kiara will have advantage against Avengers. And then Ruler beats Mooncancer. And then Shielder is neutral to everyone. So Marsh is completely neutral. So, as you can see, the enemy class is an assassin. So, the best thing to do is to get a damaging caster. Unfortunately, since your big support units are the vast majority of the time casters, generally your support slots for casters are always going to be, your friend slots for casters are all going to be supports. So the struggle is a bit rough when it comes to finding a good caster to do damage. And that's a big hole in the free-to-play in the 1 to 3 star units as well. There is no good single target caster damage-wise. In fact, the only single target caster is Medea, but they've really botched it because they've made her Noble Phantasm scale as if it's an AoE even though it's single target. So she does laughable damage, essentially. However, she is really handy because she does buff removal. So that's a good thing to keep in mind. So basically, your 1 to 3 star unit, your 1 to 3 star single target caster unit is a Berserker. Is the moral of this story. So, Lubu, maybe. He's a 3-star Berserker. That's typically the go-to for people starting out for single target. So that looks like Cursed Arm. Now, this is Summer Jolter. Jolter being Jean Alter, of course. She's the welfare for the Summer 3 event, which I definitely recommend doing if you take the notion to start out the game. Or if you take the notion that you might want to try out the game, I recommend doing it quickly because this is again going to be the very next event we get, is the rerun for this, and it's your last chance to get her for the foreseeable future. Because who knows when they're going to add a main interlude for her. She's actually a really solid Buster Berserker. She's single target. She has moderately okay survivability despite being a Berserker because she gets a one-time evade per turn for 3 turns. So basically she gets to absorb a free hit each turn for 3 turns, which is really nice, especially if she's in a party because that means the attacks could go anywhere, so it's less likely she's going to be targeted more than once. She's got a good attack up. It also provides a burn effect to your attacks, so each time you do a normal attack, you will inflict burn on the enemy, so that's just free dot damage each turn. She's got a nice Buster up, which is also a 20% battery, but it will decrease her HP by 1,000, so do watch out for that. Her evade also gives her 3-turn NP gain up, so that's nice. And then her NP just does a lot of damage and adds more burn. Basically everything burns. One good thing that Mash is actually helpful for your Berserkers because she can give everybody a defense up for 3 turns. Of course, at level 1 it's not going to do very much, but it's a thought that counts, right? Let's go ahead and go all out. So as you can see, she hurt herself a wee bit for 1000 HP. And it's all gone. I don't really recommend wasting your heal like that, but it can be dealt with, is my point. Suppose we should talk about how buffs work. So as you can see at the end of the turn, she refreshes her evade. There's another level. So each buff, or the basically different categories of buffs to your attacks. There's just a generic attack up, there's a color buff, so a buff for Buster, a buff for Answer, a buff for Quick. Then there's like NP damage up or critical damage up. But each of these buff types will stack together, not additively, but multiplicatively. Which basically means if you stack different types of buffs on a unit, it's going to juice them up a lot more than you would expect. So that's something to keep an eye out for, trying to get different types of buffs onto your big DPS unit. And this is teaching you, this is the first time a story support's available. This is Caster Cuchulainn. Or is he? Who knows? That's a bit of a tease for the current storyline in JP. Of course, we don't know where it's going yet, so not much of a tease. But this is actually a good opportunity because he shares an ability that the other Cuchulainns have as well, which is this: protection from arrows. This skill is broken beyond all get out. So notice what it says. Well, you give yourself three hits of evade and a defense up for 3 turns. So the defense up lasts for 3 turns. But notice the evade doesn't say anything about the turn limit. Also, the cooldown's 7, but that's because it's level 2. If it was level 6, the cooldown would be 6. If it was cooldown was, if the skill was level 10, its cooldown would be 5. That's pretty nice. But what this means is these evades are indefinite. They will last until they're taken out. So basically you can pop that bad boy, and now the enemy has to hit him 3 times before they can even think of doing damage to him. So theoretically, and if his skill was all the way leveled up, there's a very good chance you'll be able to activate it again about the time, or even before they've used all your evades. So then they finally get your last evade off. Now you can pop it again. Now they're going to struggle doing damage to you again. And then regular Cuchulainn also has a guts, so even when they can finally do damage to you and actually kill you, or you just revived, and he has a heal that also gets rid of debuffs. He's actually insane, is what I'm getting at. He just doesn't want to die. Just refuses. Let's go ahead and do a Buster Brave, or a Buster Chain, rather. It's not a Brave Chain because it's different cards. I forgot to do. No, I did Heracles' buff. I should have. Oh well. Just grab random cards. He's dead either way. See, this is really nice. There's some Lancer pieces and Assassin pieces. So since I mentioned Kukulane, the idea, or the hope is, when I actually roll, is that he'll come along. He and 100 Personas, or Asako, is sort of the name your character gives her as a nickname, which is typically what I call her because I think it's pretty cute. Hopefully those two come along because they'll be the ones I raise, unless we get surprised by something when we roll. But even if we do, it's definitely good to prioritize them. So a reminder, since he is a story guest servant, when we used him right then, we automatically got 200 FP from that. So just an extra roll. Just easy as. We're getting lots of foes, that's nice. Okay, I think this is our first battle that actually has 3 waves. This is generally the standard. Typically, a battle will have 3 waves. Most of the time. Generally, the most common formation is 3 waves with 3 enemies apiece. And then boss fights early on will often just be 1 wave with there's the boss, maybe with a couple adds, but often just alone. But more recently they've started varying it a bit, where they have unusual wave counts. We're going to do this. Now, since we'll have 3 waves, and I want to use her MP on the last wave. Notice I didn't use a mana burst yet. Wow. This didn't work last time, but we'll see if it does this time. That could have been a mistake, because if Marsh doesn't kill... Oh, wait. I'm silly, I could just do this. Never mind. We should be good. I somehow completely didn't see the second Ishtar card there. But yeah, if I would have had to have used Marsh's card there and she didn't kill, well, that would have wasted Ishtar's big attack up, is what I'm getting at. So it's definitely something you have to hopefully make sure you've got your figuring down pat, so you don't waste some value. I'm trying to remember how many chapters this Singularity actually has. I'm hoping to go ahead and get through here so we can do our rolls. So this is section 7. I think it is 12 or 13, so we're getting there. We can blitz through it quicker since I can't really think of anything else I need to explain right away. That being said, Spinal, if you're still around, if you have any questions, make sure to ask.
私の出番ね。見てなさい。総合に決めるから。
Get into this.
固く縛るわ。やるのだわ。
It actually would have been safer to do Aresh's Buster first, and then just let Heracles attack twice, since it was a 2-person wave. And this one's a bit annoying. Actually, it's fine. She even does double damage since they're archers. There we go. Event out. Get used to these little buggers. These are the enemies that you fight to get embers in the daily quests for ember grinding. These Hands of Dawn. So you'll be seeing a lot of them as you level your units. That's a nice brave chain. So the combination I took right there was better damage wise. However, with the way her kit works, since she has MP gain up, it's actually best to put, if you want a chance of, if the fight would have continued after this, rather, it would have been better to put her arch card in the 3rd slot, so it would get a little extra MP gain. Alright, this is a messy one. Let's show off Astraea. She won't have access to her Noble Phantasm, but that's fine. Because this isn't a Craft Essence that has starting MP on it. Starting MP Craft Essences are good for farming and just quick fights in general. So you can just get your MP really quickly and pop it off. But this is more of a for the long haul kind of deal. So we're going to do that. Astraea is a brilliant unit. She's really strong. So she's a ruler for one. So she's tanky as all get out. She has a solid level of HP, solid level of attack. She's a 4-star as well. And she's non-limited, so she can spook you at any time. She's arts. She has good MP gain, so she can loop her MP quite well. She has really good buffs. This is a really strong attack buff and defense buff and MP gain buff, all for 3 turns on a 5-turn cooldown. Like, that's a heavy-duty skill. And she can target it too, so she doesn't have to use it on herself, of course. But and she has a 1-turn arts up mana burst. But she also gains 30 crit stars. 30 of the bloody things, just out of the blue. And then this, well, now the demerit is it costs 5 crit stars to use. But considering she gens 30 of the bloody things, I mean, might as well say she gens 25, which is half of what you need to guarantee every card in the hand crits. She will increase her star gather rate, which basically... So each unit has their own star weight value, which will tilt the RNG in their favor of getting the crit stars to go to their cards more than the other people's cards. So basically it just helps guarantee some crits. She also juices up her crit strength, so she's going to do a lot of damage with her crits. And she's got a nice battery as well. So just to show you that all is from action. This is a bit wasteful because these are little rinky-dinky enemies. So she's got her 20% battery. So now notice how these are guaranteed to crit because of her star weight. Now just to add to see if we can't recoup some crit stars. We'll start with a quick card. She hits like an absolute truck. And so rulers normally only get class advantage against moon cancers. However, her Noble Phantasm does a great deal of bonus damage to an enemy that is evil. That is a very large amount of enemies in the game. Both regular mobs like these, or boss mobs, or servants, enemy servants. Which, so essentially she covers, so she counters evil, she covers more enemies than any individual class would cover. Or, also, she's insane right now, but she's going to get even more broken because they give her an MP buff here moderately soon, sometime next year. That also makes her Pierce Invuln. I think it's Pierce Invuln. It's she's basically up there with Heracles as the best 4 stars in the game. Heracles, like Fujino. Let's see, who else? I'm actually drawing a blank, unfortunately. I'll get back to that hopefully. Shiki's actually up there. She's not their tier, don't get me wrong, but she's good as well. She's quite far away from their tier. I wonder. So yeah, she's insane, and she's going to get even more insane for too long. As you can see, her MP game's pretty choice. If she had a crit, that probably would have got her up to like 80% or some nonsense. Plus, she's an Ojo Sama. Who doesn't love those? Looks like we got another evil barn. That's good. Lord knows we're gonna need a lot of them. Oh, it wasn't. It was a Lancer gem. That's fine. We need those too. We need everything. This is a fresh account. So skill gems, as one might expect, for ranking up your skills. And there are 3 tiers to them. There are the little blue ones, and there are red ones, and then there were gold ones. So the little blue ones will get you from like rank 3 to 3 and 4, and then red ones is like 5 to 6, and then gold ones is 7 and 8, and then you're done with the skill gems for that skill, and you go to 9, and then you need what's called a crystallized lore to max it out at 10. Crystallized lores come from events, so another Reminder that you need to do your events when you have access to them. Now, I think this is the section where we unlock Marsh's MP. As you can see, there were quite a bit of nodes on there. Alright, here's a first example of an unusual wave. Notice the enemy remaining is 6 instead of 3. Well, that's because as you kill enemies, they will be replaced from enemies in the back line, so to speak. Sort of like your own party. So notice how we could have up to 6 people. Now that doesn't mean the enemy count can stop at 6. They can go and go and go. They're even unwinnable scripted fights that are like infinite. So yeah, there are only like a couple of those, but you get the idea. Can we actually kill 3 of these little buggers here? Because if so, I think we can. They have really low health. Yeah, we should be good. Should be in the opportune word here. Scream and spark. How's it now? I don't know what caused that. I did not touch anything. Very strange for it to just break like that. OBS abonitism, I guess. It is back, right? Okay, good. Let's go blow up the world again. So, from what I recall, are we on a 13? Oh dear, that's it. We're so low when it comes to bones. Bones, Hero Proofs, Void Dust, and Dragon Fangs. You will never have enough of any of those. Now, you may get lucky and whatever units you decide to level may need less of them, or may need a variety of things as opposed to several of the units needing the same material. Consider yourself very lucky in that case. Because it's very painful to get in situations where everyone needs the same things. Unfortunately, no MP's coming. If Marsh's skill was level 10, which is an impossibility at this point in the game, I could do this little skill, which would go, right now it gives 10% charge, but at rank 10 it gives 20%, which is exactly what we need. We'll let Artoria finish. For posterity. So after this, there may be less than I thought, because I think we go. So after we do these, we go through the cave here, and then yeah. So we may be closer to done with this tutorial, because that's what this still is pretty much. It's a tutorial. Mixed nodes like this. Well, early on like this, it's fine just to grab a strong AoE unit.
武装完了。行きます。死の女神エルシキガルが命じます。
Right.
でもまあ少しは優しまね。
Is there any chance
やるわ。
that Marsh can actually kill this Hand of Dawn? I didn't think so. Oh well, say la vie. I'm gonna use my MP anyway, just for kicks and giggles.
黙ってなさい。いいわ。固く縛。厳しくでもまあ。
Now this is going to go into the void because they're going to die from the MP, but so in events, in newer events, and much later in the story, you're going to come across boss enemies that have what's called break bars, which means the health bar is split up into, well, multiple health bars essentially, and each of said health bars will provide a different effect depending on how the fight's set up. Most of the time it's beneficial for the enemy, but sometimes it's actually helpful for you to break them quickly. So this is something they did to prevent, well, they did for a couple reasons. For one, since something you'll notice as you go through the story, once you get to the end of this first section of the story, we'll say part 1 of the story, is bosses start getting, the HP number starts getting quite high. So, hey, this is our first chance to use Mordred. So in order to not continue to absurdly inflate just HP numbers, although breaking it up, it's still like the same amount in total, but it at least adds some more exciting mechanics to the fights. And to prevent these buff stacking strategies where you would just super buff a unit and then one-shot the enemy in like one turn or so. So they prevented you from being able to do that, because now you can do that one health bar and then they won't take any more damage that turn. And because the health bar doesn't break and convert to the next health bar until the end of the turn. So you have to wait. So it'll break, and then whatever effects to trigger will trigger. Then the enemy will do their actions, then you can fight again. Of course, that's a long way off. Well, not really, because you will see them in events as well now. But what I was getting at, the reason I brought that up is because, like with the FGO there, when I said all that damage, her Brave Chain would be lost to the void, is because the enemies were killed by an MP, so there wasn't anything to attack, so everything else was wasted, basically. But if there was a break bar enemy that took their health to 0, you're going to start getting what's called overgauge, which basically means you're going to get boosted MP gain from anything that can actually give you MP gain. So Quick and Art cards would give you a lot of MP gauge from that, so that's something to keep in mind. Now here is Summer Mordred. Precious Summer Mordred. Why does she have... That's not the Ascension I have her in. Oh, I need to change the setting on this account. I see. That's what it is. She is a very good looper. Okay, so looping, as one might expect, is from the name looping, is she uses her MP, and she gets, so just like her Papa, Artoria, who gets... Oh, she actually doesn't, never mind. I'm a moron, never mind. But, so she's arts type, AoE, has high hit count. So that's important. She gets a lot of MP refund from her Noble Phantasm, which is boosted by this 3-turn arts up she gets. She has a 30% battery with a nice guts right here, and she's got an evade, so she's fairly survivable. She can loop really easily. Her MP has a very high hit count, so she really gains back her MP gauge quickly. So she's really good for farming, is what I'm getting at. She is an extremely efficient farmer, and unfortunately her MP isn't upgraded, so it's not going to blow you away damage wise, but it doesn't need to. It just needs to kill the enemies and get enough overcharge from them to be able to cast it again, which is fairly easy to do between her own arts up and then get a mate's Tamamo and then your own Paracelsus, and then you supercharge her arts, you give her a lot of MP gauge or MP gain up, and then she just loops and loops and loops. Unfortunately her arts up would be wasted right now because she doesn't have an arts card. It's alright though. Don't need it. As you can see, the servants, the enemy servants, have quite low health right now. They're a decent match for they're a possible match for like your level 1 stuff, but anything even First Ascension. So here's Marsh's initial Noble Phantasm. It gives your whole team a defense up for 3 turns and a bonus damage cut. Damage cut will remove a set amount of damage from the attack, any attack that hits, depending on how it's worded. This, for 3 turns, will just have a flat damage cut, but a lot of them are more for a certain amount of hits. And what that means, flat damage cut, is say an attack's going to do 500 damage to you, but you have a damage cut of 300. That means that attack's only going to do 200 damage to you. And that's not even taking into account your boosted defense, so it's going to decrease it even more. The offensive version of this is basically Divinity, which is passive for Divine Servants, where they get a flat bonus to their attack damage. Oh, somebody's got Da Vinci Lily. That's cute. And for some reason, here they have you fight Castaku in the same exact fight again. I'm not sure why. And yet again, no more Arts card. Sad panda. Oh well. We do have a Buster Brave chain. Or, not a Buster Brave chain, but a Brave chain from our lad Heracles here. So he should be able to one-turn him, surely. Easy as. And there we have a nice caster pieces. Now, I will go ahead and warn you, you're going to have a bit of a nightmare when it comes to casters starting out, because there are a lot of casters you need to level to get your account on decent footing. You need to level Shakespeare for Buster support, you need to level Mozart for art support, you need to level Paracelsus for more art support. Especially for like looping, you need to level Hans for general support. Let's see. Probably. I'm definitely thinking. Alright, you need to level Chen Gong for more Buster support. Especially for Buster Berserkers. Which incidentally is what Heracles is. How about that? So now we're going through the cave, and we finally get a new mob type, Dragon Tooth Warriors. These little buggers seem pretty tanky, for some reason. Or they're a lot tankier than the regular skellies are. I don't know if they have like a damage reduction or something, but... Did I? Or I didn't. There we got our mana burst. So these little buggers, these Dragon Tooth Warriors, can actually drop Dragon Fangs, which would be very lovely to get a head start on those, but I wouldn't hold your breath. They're pretty rare. Ishtar's actually got a Noble Phantasm buff coming sometime next year as well, so just like Astraea, that she's already really good, and then she gets even better, because then her Noble Phantasm starts generating stars every time it's used as well. So her crit damage is absurd, just using her own buffs by themselves, because she gives her charisma as an attack up and crit up. So that's multiplicative just out of the box. That's really nice. This is an interesting start. I don't know if we can... Oh, yeah, we can do this. Probably. Yeah, she's going to. Or we may have gotten a Dragon Fang. Unless these are for some reason set to only drop Evil Barns, but they shouldn't be. Let me check. Alright, we got unlucky. Or maybe these don't, but I assure you, at some point, Dragon Tooth Warriors and Dragon Tooth enemies can drop Dragon Fangs. I swear they can. Oh dear. Probably being a little overcautious about clearing the waves, but wondering if it'll finish or not.
よしよし、今回もよろしくね。大いなる天から大いなる地に向けて、またの名をジュベルハブリンブレイカー。
Skill gems you will generally be in bad shape with until you get your first lottery event. Then you can start, well, as long as you go pretty heavy on it, you can and open a lot of boxes. You can set yourself up for a while to hold you off until the next lottery event. They're generally, I think, 2, sometimes 3 a year. So they're definitely something to try and save the majority of your apples for. So apples. So AP is what it costs to. Oh, this is a rough start. AP is what it costs to do a fight, or do a node, basically. Depending on the node, it can cost up to 40. Sadly. I wish they would, even if they dropped it down to 30, that would actually be a big improvement for like the dailies, or the highest level dailies. But at the moment, that's not the way it is. But what fruit do is it recharges your AP. So bronze fruit give you 10 for each bronze apple you eat. Silver apple gives you half of your current max AP gauge, and then gold, as one would expect, will add the full amount. So say you're at 10, but your max is 30, it'll add 30. So now you're at 40. So you're over gauged by 10. But when you're starting out, as long as you don't jump and start doing 40 AP daily quests too soon, then you should be overloaded on AP for a while. Maybe you'll run out when you get to your first event, but it'll last you event, or it'll last you a while. That's what I'm trying to say. As long as you don't get crazy with it. But so the better, the more you can save your apples early on, the better. Because again, you want to go really berserk on the lotteries when they come along. That being said, most events, if you want to, there's some dragon fangs. That's lovely. Okay. So there wasn't, yeah. Be nice to have an ARE, actually. Or, so there's a reason I'm jumping on this one so quickly. For one, she's MP5, she's fully kitted out, level 100. So alter egos, if you'll recall, they do bonus damage against all of the cavalry classes. This is Heracles' Born Sea, by the way. So, this is definitely a good person to follow. If you don't get Heracles on your own starting roles, I definitely recommend trying to keep an eye out for a rando that has him. Because again, if all else fails and you're pulling your teeth out from aggravation, or your hair out rather, and you just can't get past the fight, well, odds are he can solo the bloody thing with his Born Sea. So I'm definitely going to grab this, just so I can follow them. I highly doubt they would add me, friend me, but don't need to if I follow them. Now, when it comes to actually adding people to your friends list, there are various places you can go to find. Well, I feel like it probably goes without saying that you can go to any FGO, popular FGO, Discord or Reddit or whatever, and find people that would add you and help you out. Kind of. You have to be a bit careful because people can sometimes be a bit rough to newbies. Not intentionally, mind you, it's just they have really bad information. So they unintentionally give you really bad information. That's what I'm getting at. So you gotta be careful for that. But if you want a solid Discord to join, and a YouTube channel to watch when it comes to FGO content, you can check out Honiko Green's channel. And he typically links his Discord in his descriptions. So you can join that if you like. Find people to tinker around with, ask questions. He has a secondary channel where he actually posts his live stream VODs and actually speaks, which is basically the name of the channel too. So you can hear him, old man ranted to cloud about a lot of questionable decisions and such that DW make when it comes to the game. So that's fun. Okay, follow. Now we have access to a couple good lists. What was the first person I followed? Oh yeah, I grabbed this one because they had Marilyn and Tomomo and Jolta. That's why. They also have a level 100 Clary. Hands of Doom.
厳しくいくわ
They all have such low health. Not sure why. But that's fine.
やるわ
So yeah, this singularity is basically a bunch of skellies. Then you finally get into a couple shadow servants. And now in the cave you finally start getting a little more enemy variety. Of course, one of them, Dragtooth Warriors, is just sort of super skeletons, but you get into the Hands of Dawn and the like.
少しは優しくね
Ah, so cards.
死に監獄
As you've noticed, hopefully, when I tried to showcase some of these units. Which, oh, that reminds me, I completely neglected going over Kiara. Oh well,
まだまだ
I have plenty of opportunity. So Heracles is to bond 1. There's a start. It's gonna take a long time to get him to 10. You know, this is a good chance to show her again. She won't be good against the Sabres, but the other two classes, of course, she's A-okay. Alright. So, she's an alter ego, so again, she's very handy to go against assassins, riders, and casters. Now, generally, obviously, she only gets a 50% damage buff, whereas their real counter class will do double. However, where an alter ego is very handy is nodes like, say, this one, where you have assassins and you have riders, or you have all three even in some nodes, so mixed nodes. So she can do bonus damage against everything. Now, and why she's really good is her MP ignores invincibility and defense, heals herself, it's ARE, it's arts, so there's lots of even free-to-play supports that can juice her out. So you've got your Mozart, you've got Paracelsus, or Hohenheim, whatever you want to call him. I guess I'll just call him Hohenheim. Hans can help, of course, which is kind of funny considering the story where she was introduced. Of course, if you get lucky and get spooked by Tamamo, she's a heavy-duty support for her. But one reason she's really good is she has a 50% botchery, which is always just delicious. She decreases arts card resists, which is basically an arts up, kind of. Of course, it only affects one enemy, even though she's ARE. She decreases the enemy's MP charge by 1, removes their buffs. This is a buff she got recently, added this. That's amazing. You really... You need to cherish your units that remove enemy buffs, because the later you get into the game, and even later into events and the like, and challenge quests, you're going to adore being able to remove annoying buffs enemies can have. And decreases defense. She has an invuln, which increases her MP gain and stuff for some potential looping. Now, it says greatly decrease her HP. I think it takes 2,000 damage from her. However, she's going to heal that with a Noble Phantasm. So yeah, she's a really good unit. And again, she's going to get an MP buff here. sometime or another. Shouldn't be too. I don't know if it might be next year, but she does get one eventually, so she's going to get even better.
捉えましたね。
So she's one to keep an eye out for.
いただいてしまってこうです。
Her voice actress is also having a lot of fun with her.
大豆七夜間
Ah, the sabers. Bane. Echo.
了解です。
You know what? Let's see what little Marsh can do. I wonder if she can actually take one of them out with a brave chain. Signs point to. Oh no. Oh no. This but a scratch. She does pretty good crit damage too, as you can see. There was half damage too, or it was resisted damage rather. Now, should have done that to this one, but I'm a dumb.
より強くより弱く
So you just debuff them.
美味しそう。
You could even juice up her attack if you wanted. I enjoy this particular MP animation. You should see the animation for MP on the game she originated in. It is well, Spinal. If you're still here, I think I've even sent you the clip before because it's hilariously over the top. And we got a nice level from it. Yeah, she's a really good alter ego to have because she 50% boss rate. And here we go. Here's the end, the last fight of this tutorial singularity. After this, you'll have access to most events, because most of them are for Yuki locked. And Saber Alto will be added to the story, so yeah, I've sent it. It was just it was a long time ago. If I remember, I'll send it again, maybe. I was about to say, let's do something silly, and you know what? I don't need the FP, so I should be using other people's stuff. I'm just partial to my own units, I guess. Alright, here you go, witness a little noble phantasm battle. DBZ now. Beam struggles. You can't be a proper saber if you can't fire a laser beam out of your sword. So here's the big boss lady of this singularity, 2200 HP. Man, normally I would do the mana burst and then do this, and then all that good stuff, but There's no sense in putting this off.
飛ぶわよマーサゲートオープン光栄に思いなさいこれが私の全力先生
There we go, some nice saber pieces. Now if only we can get a nice saber. Looking at you, Bedivere. Unfortunately, Bedivere isn't in story summon because he's story locked until Camelot, which is very late in the story, sadly. Okay, now there's going to be an anime opening that plays at some point here, from what I remember, which I'm pretty sure would get me. Yeah, it's already popped up the warning. We've detected copyrighted audio and video in your stream. I'm just a small lad streaming to one bloody viewer. And it already wants to be so bloody stingy. I'm not even monetized, mate. What am I going to do? Okay, let's see if I can get this working again. So as you see, Mashu got her bond up. We got some nice Dragon's Reverse Scale, which is a gold mat. We got our first Holy Grail. And we got a copy of Costa Cuculain. So now, both he and Saber Altar are available in Story Summon. Well, the issue is, if they wanted to be arseholish about it, they could copyright strike my channel, and then I can't stream for like a month before the claim would expire. So, yeah. Well, now we have access to the next singularity, which is Orleans. So that's the fair singularity, as it says. We can also go back to Yuki and clean up some of these free quests to get even more Saint Quartz. Let's go and grab Cuculain. So, Castaku is actually really good, but again, he's story locked, and generally it's better to avoid the story summon, just because there's no rate up and the pool of servants is a bit yabe. However, since we're just starting out, it's a shame we're at 27 and not 30, or else we could do 2 10 rolls, so we'll be a bit short, but yeah, it's fine. We can get those 3 Saint Quartz easily enough, I suppose. They're lacking the friend points. Alright, so Which banner? Anniversary banner? That one? Or the story summon? Also, just because you see these particular units here doesn't mean they're story locked. Like he is, William Tell, he's story locked. None of the others are here. Alright. Here we go. Batter number 1. Okay, an archer. Ah, Uriel. Now, Uriel is really good. However, she is overhyped on general guides and the like. She is by no means bad. She is very good, and she's basically what it is. She does massive damage against male enemies. So there's a particular fight that really gatekept a lot of people in Camelot early on, and then later on because there's tougher rematches against him. Against a saber, and she's an archer, so she already counters sabers, and it's a bloke, so she double counters. So she saved a lot of people's bacon early on. So she's basically, we'll say, overinflated due to just how invaluable that was for people. She's definitely a good servant, but she's a single target archer, so she's directly competing against Robin Hood for the same exact role of a single target archer. And Robin Hood does insane damage against anyone that's poisoned. Or Ku? Ah, damn it. Nah. Now don't get me wrong, he's good. He's not Ku, but he's still good. I just don't like him. So we're hoping for Kukulane or an Osako, or both, or either. Unless we get some, or Costa, or Savisabron. He's pretty solid as well. He's nice AoE buster. Costa. I keep forgetting to level him on my main, actually. Of course, I'm kind of to the point where I guess I don't particularly need him. Well, here's a gold. Come on, Saber. Well, it is a Saber. Oh no. It's a rare prism's what it is. Bloody hell. Now again, Saber him's fine as well, isn't he? He's pretty solid. I don't like him. Lost it. Absolute troll. Welcome to my luck here. Come on, Kur. Osako. We're also getting quite unlucky by getting really bad craft essences. It's alright. Another archer. Wait, I thought he was story locked. Behind Lost Belt. I'm nowhere near Lost Belt. So, Tell is fine, It's just again Robin and Billy the Kid and Uriel and probably even Paris are all better than him. So, one thing you'll notice is the 1 to 3 star archers are insane. That's probably the best class. They're just really, they're just a bunch of really strong units. What did we get here? Another caster. Oh, there's Medea. She can remove buffs, which is sadly her only real use at the moment, just because of how her MP scales. Which is a shame because I think she's really popular, or fairly popular. Now, so the reason, I'll go ahead and tell you the reason that they made her MP so weak scale-wise. It's because she was a day 1 servant, and she has this skill right here, Rapid Words of Divine, which instantly fully charges her gauge from like 0. So she can get her MP guaranteed just instantly if she wants it. So they were afraid of her being able to spam her MP too much, which is very laughable considering the state of the game right now. Extremely laughable. But they were worried about that, and unfortunately they really mucked her over, and they haven't rectified it yet. So now we get 2 summons, because we get the bonus, because this is our 10th summon. Very unlucky. I've never seen that one before. There's a 5-star craft essence. So, what's that do? Our yeah. Nah. Okay. Let me think. What could we do to get 3 more Saint Quartz fairly quickly? Wow. The obvious thing would be to just clear out some free quests. 3 free quests. Unfortunately, so the way this works is you clear a free quest 3 times, and then it's actually cleared, and you get the reward from it. So in this case, the Saint Quartz. And the AP cost is 1, so there's really no reason for us not to. So I guess we'll do that. So notice how it's only my main account here, because this is a free quest, this isn't a story quest. So the ones that I'm following, I don't have access to. Oh, that really bugs me that the saber that it gave me was DM'd. Yeah. As you can tell, this is just a carbon copy of the story version of the fight. So we just do this same fight 3 times, and we'll get a Saint Quartz for it. Then we'll do that to 2 more, and then we can have another 11 roll. I think I'll do it as a quick 11 roll too, instead of having to click once each time. Maybe we'll have better luck that way. We'll do story again, of course. Unless Spinal wants something else. Right, just need this.
いいわ、狙いは決まった。ゲートオープン。よしよし。今回の
So
大いなる
when Diarmid came out and I said, oh, it's a rare prism. So rare prisms, I've showed you what mana prisms are, I think. Have I showed you what mana prisms are? Are those green, so mana prisms with green cubes. You get them from burning anything 3-star above rarity wise. And you can use them in the Da Vinci shop to purchase monthly supplies, basically. Rare prisms are only from 4 and 5-star servants. You get 1 for burning a 4-star, and then you get 5 for burning a 5-star. So if you get one that you don't like, you can burn them and get some rare prisms out of it. And I'll show you some of the stuff you can. So one of the things I recommend when it comes to rare prisms is aiming for Anniversary Blonde, which is a mystic card that is really good. It's basically a crit buster spatialized mystic card, and a lot of really popular units and a lot of really common units are buster, and crits are always good, so it's always nice to have some crits. Now, to get access to it, it costs 5 rare prisms, so that's burn 5 4-stars or 1 5-star. However, from time to time, and during Anniversary, you do get them from events occasionally, and from like anniversaries and the like. And if you can get a welfare servant, and then when that welfare servant, if it gets a rerun, for each excess copy of the welfare servant you get a rare prism as well. So theoretically, that could be up to 5 from there. That's where the majority of your rare prisms are going to come from, unless you whale and keep getting excess units that you don't want. But I definitely recommend aiming for Anniversary Blonde first thing when it comes to rare prisms. It's just really good. Mystic card to have. Early on with these easy fights, where you're not even using your mystic card, it probably won't even occur to you and be like, oh, how much could it really matter? But you'd really be surprised how big a difference they can make in tougher fights. So here's a wee bit of a preview of how farming goes. Doing quests over and over, hoping to get drops. Of course, we're not really caring about drops at the moment, but you will have to get used to doing those over and over. But it's an RPG. You know what you signed up for if you start playing an RPG. Really hope we can get some Ku, Kalane, and Ku, Asako, and Ushi. Ushi Wakamaru is a really lovely single target quick rider. And she's also, she's just really bloody good. She's about to get buffed again as well, eventually, or soon enough. So 1 down, 2 to go. Or bond rewards. So for, as I mentioned before, when it comes to gold units, maybe even 3-star units as well. But when it comes to gold units, when you get them to bond 6, 7, 8, and 9, they give you Saint Courts as a reward. But for bronze units, you get fruits instead. So for 1, 2-star, it's predominantly like bronze apples, and then eventually you get some silvers. But for like 3-star units, you get silvers and then golds. So that's a way for you to get some. Incidentally, this is Heracles' MP gain Brave Chain. His ABQ gives him, yeah, about a little over 30%, whatever, when it comes to MP gain. Oh, forgot a mana burst. Doesn't matter though, these enemies have laughable health. If this was a real node, we would have actually paid attention to that. Just a bit. But yeah, she's got an evade, she gets a team-wide MP gain up, and she gets a charisma, she gets a quick up. The quick up's what's coming for her upgrade, I think. She's got an upgraded MP, so she does really, really good MP damage. She's just really solid all around. So if you want to, and she's a complete puppy dog personality wise as well. She's precious. So if you take a liking to her, you really can't go wrong throwing her a couple some grails, however much you want to give her. She scales really well off of them, just like Kukulane and Asakaru do. Yeah, as I said before, this is definitely a game that starts pretty slow, but it does pick up as you get deeper into the story. For one, the story becomes more interesting and better written as you get deeper into it. But also the fights start getting more difficult and more creative. And, it's a lot of fun. Events can be a lot of fun because they can get pretty goofy with the shenanigans they get up to in them. Did it now. The way it's doing that, I don't think it's done that for other games, has it? Okay, was that the last round or one? Okay, one more. And then Guess it's something with blue stocks or something that just doesn't work well with OBS. The reason I switched back to blue stacks is because Nox would not work on OBS. So guess there's something tis me with that. It's kind of a waste of a turn of that, since I'm not going to use his cards. And I go ABQ. See, now we use it. Enjoy this massive buster crit she does. And that was just off of one of her buffs. 56k. That's a bit. She had a buster up. Basically, if she had used her MP and got no buster up, and she had a mana burst, just not even counting anyone else buffing her, that crit probably would have been well over 100k. And a reminder that if she was soloing, she could hit with her MP, bust a crit, extra attack. So, as you can tell, despite being AoE, she's still able to push out the single target damage really heavily. Chiron's a good servant. He actually is handy because he can support all three card types. A wee bit awkward hand, but we can work with it. His Artscon actually killed. That actually surprised me a little. There wasn't a buster buff to it. Now we're going to remember a mana burst. If you were impressed with that damage number, I need to show you. There's a fairly recent video Green did with Astraea where he buffed her up pretty hard and heavy and used her Noble Phantasm, and it did, wow, it did quite a bit. I'll send it to you after the stream, which, sorry, not too much longer, because the plan is 2 more runs of this to get that Lost Saint Quartz we need. We'll do a 10 roll, and then we'll call it after that. That's the plan. Hopefully we get some good stuff from the 10 roll, and not bloody DM it. I'm torn between actually breaking down and keeping him, because honestly, gameplay wise, he's perfectly good, fine. It's purely just character-wise I don't care for him. So it's more of a disappointment that that could have been salty, but it wasn't.
そうじゃなくて
Okay.
平和のために戦いましょう。王冠よ、力を。
No, Ishtar recently got an animation update. But it didn't really change too much. I guess her animations were kind of fine to begin with. You don't need to do that. Let's not be that silly. We actually got it early here in NA instead of waiting exactly 2 years from when JP got it. They gave it to us a bit early. They've actually been doing that with a few of the animation updates. I was hoping they'd do Ushi's animation update soon enough because the poor thing, right now she kind of looks like an albino goblin, if you will. But after animation update, she looks proper like she should. She actually has a summer version, which was kind of a preview of what she's supposed to look like when her animation would get updated. Funnily enough.
了解です。狙いは決まった？どうかしら？よーし、あがくじゃない。セット。
So if I get a copy of her, I can show you. She's just a small little thing. It's kind of it's amusing.
王冠よ、力を。私の本気見たいんだ。ゲートオープン。よしよし、今回もよろしくね。大いなる天から大いなる地に向けて、またの名をジュベルハブリンブレイカー。敗者は右。
Alright, just one more run,
捧げ物として。
and then we see if I and Jesus will be kind to us today. One last time. That is pretty rough there too. I don't think we've gotten any good 3-star CEs. Now to be fair, there aren't a spectacular amount of them. There's unfortunately a lot of really garbage ones. But we've also, like, we don't have a Robin Hood. We don't even have Billy the Kid as a backup really good archer. We do have a Uriel though, which is perfectly fine. Unfortunately, she, as one would expect, loses a great deal of her potency against if it's not a male boss she's fighting.
さあ、起立しなさい。狙いは決まった？
There was a lot of red in that. Or, that was something I was going to say. So, if you've noticed, each servant has 5 cards in total. So she's got double arts, 1 quick, 2 buster. So what this means is each turn, those cards are shuffled together from all three servants combined. So that's 15 total cards, and those are shuffled up and distributed for each turn. So what this means is, turn 1, it's bloody free for all. You can get whatever. But so since we got so many busters that turn, okay. So what it means is after every 3 turns, your deck resets and you start and it reshuffles them all. What this means is, if you keep track, you can know roughly what cards you will get on turn 2, and especially know what cards you will have for turn 3 in each set of 3 turns. So, as long as once you become familiar with how your servants' decks are, you can sort of plan ahead. Okay, Ishtar's going to have 2 busters next turn, kind of deal. Now, she isn't, unfortunately. She's going to have 1. She should have a buster and an arts, I think, next turn. I wasn't paying a great deal of attention to it, unfortunately, but she should have 1 buster, 1 arts next turn. I guess we just can go ahead and do this early, because I wasn't thinking. But yeah, it's something to work on as you experiment and go through these early stages that aren't particularly interesting fight-wise. It's definitely a good opportunity to use them to learn mechanics and the like. See, 1 buster, 1 arts. And then next turn, on turn 4, it will be completely random again. But then from there, you can start estimating what will be in the 6th turn, or the 5th turn, and then the 6th turn. If you've kept track, you will know exactly. You get the idea. Alright. Let's say we do a little bit of rolling. And hopefully our Jesus doesn't do a little bit of trolling. First, of course, we'll go ahead and waste our friend points, since we have a summon. Another Spartacus. So, you can't get, well, if you watched me roll on my main account for all these new bronzies and the like, you would have seen me get quite a few silver servants. So you can't get them from FP. It's just about, it's kind of like getting a 5-star on the regular summon, unfortunately. So it's a bit of a doozy. Okay, so story summon again, or do you want a different banner? If you're still here. Interesting. It seems to sometimes... Yeah, it seems to do that if I... tab out. Sort of. I'm technically not tabbed in because it's not full screen. But yeah, so what banner would you want to try? Okay. I'll go ahead and do 10 roll. Come on, give us something nice. Angel Song, that's the 4-star version of the 5-star craft essence we got, which is MP damage up. It's kind of funny. Okay, another archer. There's Billy. Maybe we'll level in. Now, objectively, Robin's better, just because Robin's insane. But I haven't really used Billy at all, so it could be something different. Okay, here's a gold. What's it gonna be? Another saber. Oh, Lan Ling. Okay, we take those. I actually would quite like him on my main because he's a very good support saver. Oh, there's Serenity. That's not the 3-star song we wanted, unfortunately. We wanted Arsico. So come on, Arsico, Kuka Lane. Never been a Sound of Destruction, that's strange. There aren't any raid ups here, it's very unusual that it keeps popping up. Alright. There's Ushi, there we go. It's funny that we got 2 golds and both of them are bloody sabers. What is it with this one? I am rolling on story banner, right? Okay, we've struck out on craft essences, it seems, still. That's a shame, but here's what it is. Oh. Yeah, that's a mana prism. That's what that is. I imagine this is the last row. I haven't been keeping track. Ah. Oh well.
やあ、僕の名はビリー・ザ・キッド。新しめのサーバント
Yes, it is.
と思うよ。よろしくね。
I'm playing it on an emulator
サーバント
because I don't have a phone.
燃料を召喚に応じました。
But yeah, you get it from the Google App Store or whatever.
誠無礼とお思いでしょうが、平にご容赦を。
すべてあなたの御心のまま。
Technically, apparently DW doesn't like emulators, which is a bit silly because it affects them not one bit what device you use to play it on. But yeah, as long as you like friended my account or whatever and use my units.
セーバージルドレ参上いたしましてございます。
Because for all intents and purposes, the game thinks I'm on a farm. That's the way this is working. Or it wouldn't work otherwise. So, we got Lon Ling, can't be upset about that. And, alright, it's good to know. If you have any questions, feel free to shoot them at me. It's definitely something you can get you can pass the time with pretty well. You can get invested in the story as well. Okay, so we have some stuff to sell. Oh dear. Yeah, we have a bunch of stuff. Or am I? Okay. We're getting rid of him. We also don't need Tao. Getting rid of him. Okay. Craft essences. What does this do? Buster and HP recovery. Alright, so besides leveling servants, you can level craft essences. This is very important. Now, I kind of accidentally mentioned this in passing, sort of, when I mentioned this one, that it's at level 96, I need to get it on up to 100. Well, yeah, so you can level craft essences as well, and it obviously increases the amount of stats they give your units. So they're... I've tabbed out a bit. Let's see if that blackens the screen. Oh, it didn't yet. That's interesting. So, similarly to where you have multiple copies of a unit, you increase the efficacy of their Noble Phantasm. Usually damage is what it increases. Well, if they do damage, it increases the damage. It's sort of a, well, duh. Up to 5. Well, craft essences are similar in that... Well, here. If you use the same craft essence, up to 4 other copies, you will limit break it, which increases... It's like ascending a servant almost, where it will increase the level, but it will also increase the level cap up to a certain max, depending on the rarity of the craft essence. And if you max limit break it, which is you add 4 of the same type of the craft essence to itself, it will be what's called max limit broken, which means its effect. So we'll use this as an example. Variant Sound of Destruction. So this bugger, this increases your Buster card effectiveness by 15%. Now, when this is max limit broken, I think it increases to 25%. Also, as a 4-star, your max level for it will be 80. So your max attack would be like 1600. I think 1600. Which is actually really nice. That's because if you look at even a 4-star server, or yeah, we'll use Passion Lapel here. Her base attack is 14,000, so that's like another 1/7 of her attack just alone right there. And she's 2k forward, so really her basic attack at level 100 should be 12,000. So you're giving her an extra 10% attack by just equipping that level 80 craft essence on her, for example. So that could be important. Now, how to level your craft essences, because that's another thing that gets very expensive when it comes to QP. Nowhere near as expensive as it is to do to your level servant skills and the like, but expensive nonetheless. So the key is you create what's referred to as craft essence bombs. So you take a craft essence, a low rank one, you go ahead and max limit break it. So the level cap for a level 1, a 1-star bronze craft essence is 50. So the idea is you want to get that little bugger as close to 50 as you can get. There's actually a couple ways to make bombs, honestly. The most efficient is to say max limit break this and then max limit break another one. I didn't tab out that time, so I'm not sure why it did that. It's very annoying. So it would be to max limit break one, then max limit break another, and then combine those little mini bombs into a big bomb until it gets to level 50. Of course, that's frankly a bit tedious, so just go ahead and do this. So what it is the QP cost needed to enhance a craft essence goes up the higher level the craft essence is. So for example, on Aerial Drive, since it's level 96, Alright, wrong thing. Since it's 96, it's going to be very expensive to keep leveling it, unfortunately. But that's where the bombs come in. So basically, what you want to do is get a nice 5-star craft essence that is going to be very useful for you, like an aerial drive, or these are all good for busters, Starry Nights, or Beautiful Dreamer. Here are the really good arts ones, Painting Summer. This is going to be available in the very next summer event, so if you start playing, I definitely recommend you do your best to do that summer event, because you want Painting Summer. It's really bloody good for arts units, because it increases your arts card's effectiveness by 10%, but it also gives you MP gain. And arts are already pretty good at looping, and this just helps. And you start, when it's MLB'd, you get 50% starting MP. Lovely. The only downside is it's mixed stats, which is also why I've left it at 50 instead of really killing myself to get it to 100. That being said, it is next on my list to level after I get this one on up to 100. It's honestly probably would just be better to focus on it yet and then worry about getting that one to 100 some other time. And here's the other one. This one unfortunately is gone for the foreseeable future because the rerun that it came in, both the original version of the event and the rerun, because events usually get 2 runs. So they get their initial run and then a rerun, usually 1 year later, and then they're gone. But there are exceptions that have gotten like a 3rd run, but they're typically kind of spatial events more than anything. Also, that's where you get this little cutie right here, and she's a very good unit. I already went over it earlier, so I won't bore you with the details again. So, craft essence bomb. So what you want to do is you'd want to just grab a bunch of these little buggers that we're not going to use. And 3-star craft essences are good to create bombs with, or to feed into your bomb, because they add a decent amount of XP to it. So doing that would get it up to 16, and the goal is eventually to get it to 50. And then once you get one of these at 50, there's 1 bomb. And so what that means is you feed that to, say, a 5-star craft essence, and that experience is going to directly cross over. So just one of them is going to get, so 1 bomb will take, say this one was MLB'd, would take this one to like 50. Unfortunately after that's when it slows down. So I think, from what I remember, to get a craft essence from like 1 to 100 would take, I think, 7 total level 50 bombs. Something around there, 6 or 7 to be peak efficiency. So peak efficiency would be getting a nice 5-star craft essence that you like, MLB'd, and then just chug the bombs into it all at once to go from like, typically they end up around 12 or so, 12 or 13 when they're MLB'd, to 100. That's the single most efficient way to use QP to level craft essences. So I know that probably sounds a bit tedious or complicated, but it's once you get your head wrapped around it, it's not too bad. Of course, keeping up with making the bombs and stuff, yeah. I've actually forgotten to do so myself. I think I'm running quite. I think I only have like one bomb left, so I need to stop burning bronze craft essences so I can start making more. Oops. Well, we can use our spatial ascension now. Now, question is on who? Oh, Lunling. I suppose I should try to go over. Unfortunately, since yeah, I can't. I need to level him before I unlock his other skills, so I can go over them. But he basically he's got a support MP. It decreases the enemy's MP charge and critical rate. That's important. So one of the things that makes Asako so good as a 3-star unit is her MP will give the enemy crit down, which means they won't critical hit. They will miss their crits a lot, and then that keeps stacking and she's arts, so she can quickly get her MP back and then add even more crit down to them. Because crits are basically what's going to screw you over most boss fights, where they just suddenly, they just did like 20,000 damage to my unit in one hit, even though I resisted because of a random crit. Pain Peko. But crit down solves that little problem for you, which is really lovely. This also juices up your attack and gives damage cut to all your allies. So he's both offensive and defensive support. He also buffs up arts for your team. More attack up, and makes himself tankier. And honestly, I don't have his skills memorized. I did, but it's been a while since I've looked at them, unfortunately. So I'm debating on whether to use the spatial ascension on Heracles or him. Well, we're definitely leveling Ushi. She's a priority. We somehow did not end up with a single Mozart or Shakespeare, so that's the big start. We'll probably level Billy, or we'll level David first though, just because he's very important. Since I got Lonling, you're gonna be dusted, mate. So goodbye. Yeah, I only have one copy of George and Leo, so there's no. It's better to keep them at 1 for solo shenanigans, in case the mood strikes me. Unfortunately, I don't have any Battle of Camlin. Seas. Actually. So as you can see, 1 4-star unit burnt gives you 6 mana prisms and a rare prism. That's kind of nice. Do I want to burn that Spartacus? Wait. Okay. And this is just a bunch of garbage. Unfortunately. I'm going to keep that for a moment just to double check what it does. Like, these aren't particularly useful, but well, I have a better version of this that's a 5-star, so. Okay, so that's 35 mana prisms. Now, what's this? Oh, yeah, that's no good. So, servant-wise, 1 to 3-star units, there are plenty of really, really good ones. Craft essence-wise, though, not so much for the most part. There's some that are quite decent, but most of them are, oh dear, bad. We'll go ahead and keep this one. We can slap it on Heracles for kicks and giggles if we like. Incidentally, this actually just gives you a 4% attack up when NLB'd, so that's something. These little bronze craft essences basically cost nothing, so there's something to have. Now these. So command cards. I didn't explain these. So these are spatial little passives that you can equip on your command cards. So your command cards is your servant's attack tag. So as you see, Lon Ling here has quick, 2 arts, 2 buster. So what you do is you use a special item to unlock each of these little buggers, and then from then on you can add a command card, 1 to each of them, that has a specific effect. So you can kind of customize your servant. So for example, there are really good command cards that inflict poison. So remember, Robin Hood does a lot of bonus damage with his Noble Phantasm against poisoned enemies. So if they happen to somehow block or skill cell him or something so he can't use his skill that poisons enemies, then you're still good because you've got your command cards that inflict poison from just basic attacks. So you can do that, poison an enemy, MP, blow them up, and you're good to go. Or servant may inflict like burn or curse on themselves, some dot damage, and there's a command card that when you use it, it can remove those. Or there's healing ones. There's ones that increase that will generate extra crit stars. There's extra MP gain. There's stuff that supercharge your crit damage. They're really good ones. Most of which come from events, unfortunately. However, again, you should be doing events anyway, so you'll just get them as long as you keep up with that. And events are really the best way to kickstart your account, frankly, because you get lots of really shiny rewards from them. Why did this pop up again? I guess we'll use it on Heracles. Look at that stat jump, by the way. This is the best part. Free. So, just pure raw amount of levels wise is obviously, if you have a 5-star, that's really useful, because you get 80 levels instead of 70. I said this earlier though, but we'll go ahead and do this. So he's going to be pretty well broken for the foreseeable future. He's very overpowered for the story for a while now. Now he has his evade. So if you saw those pieces and then there was the little crystal, those are what normally it would have cost to ascend him, which is a lot of stuff that you don't get for a while. You don't even have available unless you're lucky with an event that happens to be going on at the time. But right now we're in anniversary, so it'll be a bit before the summer events start, which is good because, like, if you're starting your account now, you can make sure to do your daily login every day, so you get all the Start Dash campaign bonus Saint Courts and summoning tickets and the like. And here's his guts. It's a really nice one. Now he's fully ascended. He looks very much mean. Very much mean. However, so I'm going to hold off on taking him up to 80 yet, because I can spread the level. He's already way overpowered for a while. Like, you're not expected to have level final ascended stuff until you start hitting like Camelot and stuff, which is when the difficulty really ramps up. Okay. So you see this user ID here? Just type that in up here and search. Now this is my alt, of course. I will send you. Oh, bugger. I will copy paste my main account through Discord. Yeah, there you go. So just do the same thing with that one. The main account's going to be a lot more helpful for you to start with than this one. Let me know when you got that, and alrighty. Now, what were we doing? We were leveling, right? No, mate. I guess I'll hold off leveling until next time then. Basically, what we're just going to see, we're going to level David, we're going to level Lon Ling, we're going to get Marsh up. Luckily, Marsh will ascend the like on her own, just as you pass through the story. So that's nice. We'll do Ushi, and probably Billy. Oh, there's also Toma Cat. We shall figure that out next time. So that'll be all for today. Hope you enjoyed. See you next time.